What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today, I'm going to walk you through what's happening in the Cape Coral real estate market for September of 2025. There's definitely been some movement, and yeah, I'm going to share those numbers with you. Today, it's more raw and unedited. I'm trying something new, and that's because I just want to get information out a lot faster. I want to keep you more updated. And to do that, I just want to pump out videos and not really worry about it being perfected, especially when it's a market update like this, and it's all about the numbers. If you like to stay up to date on what's happening in Cape Coral, just go to the description of this video and click like, or actually at the bottom of this video, click like, hit that subscribe button, and yeah, follow along what's happening in Cape Coral, and we'll try our best to answer any questions that you have. Speaking of questions, any questions that you do have, just drop them in the comments, and I will do my best to get back to you and let you know and answer those questions. So without further ado, let's jump right on in and share with you what's happening in our real estate market. And the first thing I want to start off with is the median sales price. The median sales price for September 2025 was $355,000. That's 5.3% less than what it was September of 2024. Generally, we don't like to see prices come down, right? Especially if you're a seller. If you're a buyer, just the opposite side of that coin. But you can see by looking at this graph that prices have been coming down since right around July of 2022. But as of year over year, September versus September last year, they only come down 5.3%. But to kind of put that in perspective for you, what I want to do is go a little bit further back to give you that whole big picture on what's happening. And so if we look at September of 2020, the median sales price in Cape Coral was only $264,000. Now, I did some quick math, and it looks like that the median sales price in September 2025 is still 26% higher than it was in September of 2020. So just put that, let that sink in for a little bit. 26% higher than it was in 2020. That's still quite a bit higher. And if you've been following along with our real estate market pre-COVID, you know that right during that COVID era, I'll call it, prices just took off way too fast, as you can see by looking at this chart, and they went way too high. And now we're kind of, we're coming out on that other side of it. We're seeing prices adjust a little bit, but I don't think it's all negative news that we are seeing in the media. So, so that's the median sales price. So the next thing that I want to show you, point your attention to, is the closed sales for Cape Coral. In September 2025, there were 440 closed sales. And if you compare that to September of last year, there were only 401. So not a whole lot more, but about 10% more than what it was last year. So I don't think that's a bad sign. I think that that could be a good sign, but we really don't know until we get a few more months under our belt to see what's happening. But if you compare that to September of 2020, in September 2020, there were 659 sales, as you can see right there, which means there were 34% less homes closed or closed sales in September 2025 versus September of 2020. So you can see why home prices have been coming down. There's been quite a few less closed sales. So that takes us to our next stat I want to draw your attention to, and that is the active inventory, or in other words, the number of homes that were on the market at the end of September. There were 2,813 homes active for sale, which is 9.3% less than September of last year. So another number that is a good indicator, because we like to see that number come down a little bit. So it came down just about 10%. Again, put it in perspective, though. Go back all the way to September of 2020 when the market was crazy and prices were going up way too fast. In September of 2020, there were 1,192 sales, or 1,192 homes on the market at the end of September 2020. That means that in September 2025, we had 58% more homes on the market than we did in September of 2020. Think about that. 58%. That's crazy. So as you can see, it's just been a huge, steep incline of homes coming on the market. And there's a lot that goes into that. If you've been following our Cape Coral market for quite some time, you know that we've been punished by several hurricanes, including Hurricane Ian, that caused inventory to kind of stifle a little bit there for a little while people were getting their homes repaired. And that also scared a lot of people. Not only scared a lot of people, it put a lot of people, it hurt their budget because insurance went up, taxes went up along with home values. So you had rising taxes, rising insurance rates. So it's kind of like this, maybe a triple whammy, right? A triple whammy. Like there's a lot of things at play that caused the market to kind of change its direction. So that is one of them, right? We got a lot more homes on the market than we did quite a few years ago. So that takes us to the next slide, which is the month's supply of inventory. What is month's supply of inventory? Well, if no other homes were listed on the market, how long would it take to sell just what's on the market right now if no new listings came on? And what the economists use this number for is to gauge whether it's a buyer or seller's market. And as you can see, that line that goes across horizontally there, 6 months generally is considered a balanced market. We're sitting at 6.4 months in Cape Coral, which isn't too crazy, like, right? It's about a balanced market, actually. So in September 2024, we had 7.7 months of inventory. So we got a little bit less inventory. And what we're seeing happening is some sellers realize that they're not going to get the price that they wanted. They're not getting those 2020 prices. They're not getting those even 2021 prices. They timed the market wrong, a lot of people, or maybe they bought and then prices went up and taxes went up and insurance went up and their budgets got hurt. And now they're trying to get out of the market, and that's causing more active inventory. You know, there's a lot of things at play here, but this is a good sign that the inventory has come down a little bit. And it's also a good sign that, you know, that those previous numbers, the active inventory has come down a little bit since September. And also there's more closed sales. Those are good indicators of what's happening in our real estate market. So what does all this mean if I'm going to kind of summarize this all up for you? It means that if you are a seller, there's still some struggles out there in the market. There's still a lot of homes on the market, especially it depends on your price range. So what we're seeing is homes around that $350,000 mark or 400, right around that range. That's kind of the sweet spot in our market. And again, a lot of that has to do with interest rates. A lot of it has to do with the taxes and insurance rates. So people are pulling back on their budgets. The buyers that are coming into our market are buying homes a little bit smaller than they probably normally would because their dollar doesn't stretch as far. So they're buying less homes. And we're hearing a lot from our buyers, hey, let's buy a smaller house and let's wait a few years and then we'll buy a bigger house later on at a later time. So that's not uncommon to hear. So we're seeing that $350,000, that $400,000 mark. That's where the homes are moving the most. And as you get above that, the higher you go, the less and less, drastically less homes are selling. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about selling your home. It is a very, very competitive market still, depending on your price range. And then if you're a buyer, man, there's a lot of choices out there, and that generally means that's a good thing, right? Interest rates aren't bad, right? They're at what, mid sixes right now, 6.5%, something like that. They're talking about interest rates coming down even more toward the end of this year. So Ron DeSantis right now is talking about getting rid of property taxes altogether. He was talking about doing a constitutional amendment or something and trying to get that to go through. And don't hold me to the exact words if that's what it's called, a constitutional amendment or whatever, but he was trying to pass something to get property taxes waived for people who claim their Florida home as their primary residence. Now, if you're not using Florida as your primary residence, then you're still going to have to pay those property taxes apparently, but we'll see when that all comes through. It's just what I've heard so far. But here's what I predict. I predict interest rates are going to come down a little bit. They're going to continue to come down. I also think that DeSantis will probably find a way, for numerous reasons, to get rid of property taxes. And if that for primary residences. And if that happens, I really think home prices are going to start to shoot up again. Once some of the inventory clears out, I think people will start entering in this market. And I think the story is going to be drastically different in another year or so. So if you're on the fence, I don't know why. Interest rates are decent, other than insurance and things. But also on the insurance note, we are seeing more insurance companies come into the market as well. And when there's more competition, we're seeing better rates. My wife and I, Lona and I, have just gotten a lower quote on our insurance. So we got a notice that it was going up, and we called and we started shopping like you should do every year. And we got a cheaper rate on our insurance. So something to keep in mind there too. So I think we're going to see some relief on the insurance side of things too. So all that said, that's my predictions for the real estate market. That's what's happening in September 2025. If you want to learn all there is to know about living here in Southwest Florida in the Cape Coral market, you can go to livingin239.com. We have a whole library of videos about living here in Cape Coral, what it's like. It's more of a lifestyle channel. We show homes at certain price points, so you can kind of get an idea on that, things like that. So go check out that channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. And if you want to know or want to see or want to search homes that are on the market in Cape Coral, just kind of get a feel for it and see what prices are currently doing, there's a barcode up in that top left-hand corner. Scan that. It'll take you right to our home search website, and you can search for homes on the market, see what the latest homes are. It updates every 5 minutes. It's literally one of the most powerful real estate websites out there right now. And as always, if you have any questions or whatever, we're not pushy people, just reach out. We will get your questions answered. That's what we're here for. We're here to guide you through the process and make it a smooth move for you. I'm Doug Lugers. I really do appreciate you watching and hanging in there. Thanks for watching.